Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, at age 92, still leading the global campaign to eradicate guinea worm disease.
Nigeria's northern states work to help local farmers get a better deal for their produce.
And the new National Museum of African American History showcases great figures in U.S. history and the American civil rights struggle. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello, I'm Joke Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos. Welcome to our show as we go around the continent to bring you a variety of stories from across Africa.
Well, thanks a lot, Joke. I'm Vincent McCory, Voice of America, coming to you from Studio 51 at our global headquarters in Washington. Thanks for joining us, all of you.
Nigeria's northern states have reinstated a program to help local farmers get a better deal for their produce to improve prices for providers. Channels Television's Pius Angbo compiled this report.
Prior to the discovery of oil, agriculture was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. Palm oil production in the southeast and south-south region, cocoa in the southwest, grains and high groundnuts production capacity in the northern region. With its vast expanse of land, the northern region had the advantage of comparative value and pricing under the Northern Commodity Trading Board, which created the market at the right price. However, things took a different turn with the proscription of the board in the 80s, leading to revenue losses, especially for farmers.
In the days of commodity trading, our agricultural produce were graded, grades 1, 2, in some cases, in the case of groundnut, up to 3. The bodies were proscribed, and it was said that Nigerians had attained the maturity to export those commodities on their own. And we started adulterating our farm produce. In the next 6 months, we had lost our market.
The 19 northern state governors seek to reintroduce the Commodity Trading Board to help put more money in the hands of farmers.
What the farmer requires today is the ability to hold on to his surplus produce for the next 90 to 120 days so that he can double his price.
The governor of Benue, a state which prides itself as the food basket of the nation, commends the idea of putting more money in the hands of Benue farmers.
We're talking about the entire value chain of the agricultural sector. And warehousing, storage is very critical aspect of the agricultural value chain. I believe that this innovation will definitely add value.
With the expected outcome of the Regional Commodity Trading Board is an increase of food prices by 200 to 300%. Farmers in Benue State who have been experiencing bumper harvests since the last farming season now have additional reasons to smile as they look towards increasing production of crops.
The Gambia in West Africa is known for its beautiful beaches that attract tourists from all over the world. But since December, the country has been on the spotlight for all the wrong reasons after President Yahya Jammeh rejected the results of the presidential election. Now, joining us to talk more about the recent developments in the Gambia is legal practitioner Robert Emukwaro. Welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thankfully, the political impasse in the Gambia is over, with Yahya Jammeh agreeing to step aside after weeks of mediation and missed deadlines. What do you think about all the events leading up to this?
Well, the events are quite thin to the extent that it raised a lot of constitutional issues, chief of which was the fact that by virtue of the election that was conducted and concluded and a winner declared, under the Gambian constitution, Mr. Barrow became entitled to assume the office of president, not later than 60 days from the date he was declared. Now, the Gambian constitution actually, in a case of emergency, allows the National Assembly to extend its tenure and that of the president. So you had a situation where both parties were relying on constitutional provisions to try to subvert the will of the Gambian people. But with the intervention of ECOWAS through the head of states of ECOWAS countries, that constitutional crisis was resolved politically and not legally.
Jammeh was hoping to stay back on the strength of the Supreme Court, but that didn't happen for him. Could the judiciary have played another kind of role in all of this, a stronger one perhaps?
Well, the judiciary would have been able to play some role in this whole constitutional crisis because the Constitution of Gambia allows for the validity or invalidity of any election to be questioned at the Supreme Court by any aggrieved party in the contest. But unfortunately, the Gambian Supreme Court lacks the required constitutional minimum of 5 justices to form a quorum for the purposes of hearing an election petition. Because the Jammeh's party actually filed an election petition within the 10-day deadline provided for by the Gambian Constitution, but there was no courts constituted with regard to the numbers of the members, which is essential to the jurisdiction of the court itself. If you don't have the 5-man panel, the court cannot sit. So there was really no opportunity for the judicial arm of government to look into the issue.
What can African governments do to strengthen the laws governing political processes on the continent?
I think the example they have shown by display of military might is one of the ways by which I think West African heads of states can encourage respect for democratic institutions and indeed respect for the sovereignty of the people of West Africa. Because at the end of the day, the people of the Gambia, they spoke through the ballot papers and said, we want Mr. Barrow. And since the constitution of every West African state proclaims that sovereignty resides in the people of their respective countries, they have expressed their sovereign will that this is the man we want, then no individual or group of individuals should be allowed to subvert the will of the sovereign people of the Gambia or any state in West Africa. But I think with regard to the Gambia, while all of this was able to play out is because maybe because the Gambia is a small country surrounded by Senegal. They don't really have a very strong armed forces. I don't know, because if it had been, for example, like a country like Ghana, like Ghana or Nigeria, can the ECOWAS forces mobilize against Nigeria or Ghana? I doubt that very much.
Robert, thank you so much for your time. That's a legal practitioner, Robert Emukwero. Thank you for joining us on Africa 54.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54 and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, tapping the technology and business skills potential of girls in Kenya's shanty towns. That story after the break.